What's up, everybody? This week in gaming, Dead Space creator goes off on the industry. AI is here to stay, and Xbox greed train rolls on. This is the Nerd Cave Newz, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. Derek, how's it going?
It's going pretty well, man. You know, just got off of a 7 straight workday week, like going in from the end of last week, but got the next 3 days off. So resting, recuperating, got put the doc together. Spoiler alert, I didn't get to play any more of Yote. I tried today, but I just wasn't in the mood for anything to play. I was just like watching and then brain rotting on TikTok, you know what I mean? And then putting the show together. But other than that, you know, I'm here, ready to have a good time.
Well, that just means the next 3 days that you're off, you get to play some Ghosts of Yote.
Yeah. I also need to, with the way I need to look in to see how the rollover for my vacation goes, because only a certain amount of time rolls over each year for Publix. Because I could probably get 2 more vacation weeks in. So maybe I'll take another vacation here in November and December. We'll see.
Well, there you go. There you go. So you should take off and come down to the old P town.
Yeah. Well, there is something I want to discuss with you after the show.
Okay. So, we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
Below Average Joe, welcome to the stream. What's up, guys? Just lost in the playoffs, so give me some good Xbox news. I don't think we can.
Yeah. There's no good Xbox news, unfortunately. Now, if you want good Xbox like T to bash Xbox, we got that for you.
Yeah, we got that. Joe put this in our Discord channel. Let me pull this off of here. Not just the gamers, the game developers, and the parents
too. That's great.
It's good stuff. If you want to join our Discord, put exclamation mark Discord in the chat, and you'll be able to jump in there. But Below Average Joe, welcome to the stream. We're glad that you're here. And everybody else, welcome to the stream. Let us know how you are down in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And let us know what you've been playing. Because, Derek, this past Tuesday, I jumped back into Yote because I'm only playing on stream at the moment. I might start playing, a little bit here and there off stream. I don't know. But I did just bounties and side quests. And I don't know if you've had this happen where there will be like a group of like Lord Saito's men like on horseback, and they're like full samurai gear. They're like right up to you. Have you had that happen?
Yes. I can't remember if it happened to me in any of, like, obviously in the Oni's territory it didn't happen, but I can't remember if it happened anywhere like in the plains or anything like that. But I know once I got to the Kitsune's area, it definitely happened where you see guards just walking around with like banners and full in like samurai armor. I'm like, okay, what are y'all supposed to be?
Yeah. Now, I didn't win my fight with them.
Oh no.
And instead of like killing me, like they grabbed me and like it like screen went black, and then I woke up like tied to like this post, and that I was like at a camp and everything. Very interesting. I was like, whoa, wow. I've never seen this. And then like I had to like break my bonds, and then I was able to like, take them out and everything. And I was like, that right there, that little touch, I wasn't expecting it, but it made it like so much more enjoyable. And it wasn't just like, oh, well, you lost. It gave me a little, little element to it and everything.
That's dope. What other game? Because see, that in sequence in there reminded me of another game, and Far Cry 5, where you get enough like reputation, like just do enough in the open world that it triggers the next story mission. And it's like these guys in convoys would just suddenly start pulling up, and I started taking them out, but then they just kept coming, and I was like, okay, and then they would take me out. I'm like, okay, and then I would wake up in like a cave, and the next story mission would progress. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but also it's a scripted sequence. I was meant to lose this.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I was meant to lose it. I don't know. It was kind of difficult, but
it is cool that you just wind up in a camp. You know what I mean?
yeah, I was not expecting that. And then I did more of the Tessio Ridge bounties.
Mm-hmm.
I got the higher bounty where it was the gambler. Have you done that one yet?
The gambler. Oh yeah, yes, I have.
I thought that was pretty interesting where like you had to like go in and like switch the coins out and all of that
Yeah.
and then go fight him or beat him, and then like that fight with him was actually kind of hard.
It was a little bit more difficult because you think a gambler is like, all right, he's not going to be anything. He just swindles you, and then he doesn't know how to fight. I'm like, nah, he knows how to fight.
No, he knows how to fight, and there's like 6 people around him and like 2 archers and all of that.
Yeah.
I had to cheese it a little bit. I was using there's like braziers around, and I went over there and knocked the braziers and like had him walk through the fire, and then he kept walking through the fire, and I would keep knocking over braziers and catching him on fire. So I had to cheese it a little bit because he was whooping me pretty bad.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting one, and then just being able to explore the world.
Yes.
I was riding my horse and I came across the dog bounty dude.
Yes.
And I thought, I was like, oh, these are wolves. And then they started attacking me and ripped me off my horse and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I was like, I'm not trying to. So I just love the variation that we have in the game. And have you done the red kimono story line?
Yes. Yeah. Where you got to follow like the bugs or everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool, and getting the kimono and everything. But you get like a Ninetales outfit and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my Ninetales is better than the red kimono, but now I have it anyway. So it's cool. But the Ninetales armor, dude, I think you're going to really, really like it.
Yeah. I'm about to say so.
Oh, that's Michael. Okay.
Oh, and I thought it was because I was like, average, not your average Joe was his previous tag, or average Joe was his former tag. So I was just like, is this still Mike?
Yeah, so, I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Like, it's literally like everybody's names are like different. I don't know. It kind of messed up a few streams ago. I don't know. YouTube's doing this weird YouTube thing. So I don't know.
I don't know if you did the bounties. There's one that's like a horse killer. That's
yes, that one was difficult too.
As soon as that popped up, I'm like, no, we ain't about to do this again. No. Nope. So, and then there was one that was the man bear or bear man or something like that. But that was in a different area. I want to say.
I don't think I've done that one.
I think it was in a different area. I don't think it was in Tessio Ridge. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there was one at like Bear Cave. I remember, but not
this
Bear
one,
Man.
This one you kind of run into the woods, but that one was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, the horse one was cool that he was like trying to use the cold and everything to like kill you. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then there was lost my train of thought on it. But yeah, I'm enjoying Tsushima. I mean Yote. It's so good. It's so good. So yeah. Can't wait to play more of it, guys.
Tune back in on Tuesday where he plays more.
Exactly. It's going to be a great time, y'all. We're going to have fun. I probably will do more story stuff, but I wanted to hit more missions and everything. I did do there's a shinobi like hideout that has a shrine in it. It's all like on the west coast of like Tessio Ridge.
Yes.
Really interesting, like build out and everything. I don't know if you've done that one.
The build, I've done all the shinobi hideouts in Tessio Ridge now. All the build outs are really cool. I think, like especially how you get in there, it's like done so well. Yeah,
I love solving the puzzles. I feel like there were some puzzles in Tsushima, but this one, like you have the shinobi thing. It's like, oh, this marker is this and this and all of that. I love like that sort of thing, finding like little hidden things, and you are able to go into like these buildings that are locked, but you have to figure out the riddle or whatever.
Yeah.
Just that little tweak to the gameplay makes me so more interested and invested. And that Shinobi like hideout, there's a middle part of it where like you can go into a room. So I literally just pulled all the enemies in there and I got my Odachi out and I was just like, I was like, y'all gonna come in here, you gonna die.
You're right. That's funny.
Oh man. But let us know what you think down in the comments on what games you're playing. We're going to jump into what is and what forever will be the gaming discussion. First up, Glen Schofield thinks the game industry is broken, beaten, and battered. And this is by Tristan Ogilvie at IGN.
So Dead Space creator and industry veteran Glen Schofield has declared that the games industry is in dire need of fixing, and he believes he knows just how to go about it. Quote, "We need to fix the gaming industry right now," says Schofield to a room of games industry professionals. Quote, "It's broken, it's beaten, it's battered. Our developers are battered. They've been taking it on the chin for the last couple of years. We need to bring it back to what it was, right? Instead of all this negativity." The first and arguably most controversial step to take, in Schofield's opinion, is for the games industry to widely embrace the use of generative AI as a standard part of their development toolset. "AI isn't here to replace us," said Schofield. "It's here to make us faster, better, and more efficient. And AI is for all of us. It really is. It's not just for directors and artists. It's for writers and marketing execs. So I think games industry execs, owners, founders, let's start training our people on AI. Start it as soon as you can. Who cares if I'm EA or Activision or Namco or whatever? We should be working together, at least in training, and training our people up. That would be a huge help because I know we're good to start hiring people back again." Next up, Schofield believes that investors need to loosen their purse strings and start spending more on games development, as well as putting the right people in charge of each studio. Quote, "Come on, investors and execs, let's stop this madness. You want to make a AAA game for like $8 million. You got to get your guts back again. If we start putting money in the industry again, we know it's going to make money." Excuse me. "To me, you picked the wrong people to run the teams, to run the games, right? In my opinion, you need a big creative person who's running it. And then you put people around to help with this and that. And that's the way I work these days, right? I still run my studio in ways, but I have people to help now so I can be 100% or 98% on that. That's what these games need. I saw some of the people that were chosen and they were really good people, but there's no way they were ready to direct a game. So I said, let's start putting money in, do due diligence a little better on that. We know we're going to make money, but we have to make quality games and you have to give them to the right people." Lastly, Schofield wished for the return of E3. Quote, "Bring back E3, said Schofield to a soft applause. I mean, come on, E3 is the granddaddy of them all. And I will tell you, every single E3 that I went to made my games better. And I know there's no formula to show a return on investment and on that, but every game got better when you went there. You talked with your friends, you talked with colleagues, everybody's thrilled to help you with the next technologies or showing you mechanics. When the company started going outside of E3, I know this was the end, and I started boycotting those because that was not an industry that was working together. This is an industry that's fragmented, and so now there's no E3." I get a lot of what he's saying, especially, but except for the last part. The last part is we have Summer Game Fest and Game Awards. Now, obviously, the difference with those that we're seeing now is you don't have people coming on stage and like doing these lengthy gameplay demos. Like you might have it here and there, but it's mostly just trailers or people talking about it or like in interviews. But we're not seeing the typical like biz, like, hey, here's a trailer for our new game, and then let's look at a 8 to 10 minute vertical slice of the game to like show you what it's about. Like that part, I can kind of agree with him on that. But the overall, it's like we have Summer Game Fest, we have Game Awards to filter that in for E3, and like especially with networking opportunities. But
I think it's more about at old E3, they had booths. People would go around and play them and everything. And then you would get feedback from other game developers. I think that's more of where he's coming from than necessarily the presentation side of it. Because even with Summer Games Fest, Game Awards, it's just a visual side of it. It's just, putting it out there. There's no professional development. There's no conversations that are actually coming across. The games are very segmented. Wherever you're developing at, that's where you're at. You're not really talking to other colleagues,
right? So, and I also agree. Now the one part I do vehemently agree with is the second point is with like, now you can kind of make a case like investors are opening their purse strings more. Like obviously Concord had $250 million budget. Now, yes, it's not a great example because it all got flushed down the toilet, but I do believe like he does. The one point I do agree with is putting the right people in the right positions to lead the team to making a great game. Now, yes, will you always have the right people, or will you have the right people to direct the right kind of games that you need? No, you don't. But, you have to have, I think, a better due process to put in place to have a right person rather than just people being like, let's just do it. Because I remember us talking about the Dying Light 2 director just being pretty much like ADHD, just being like, I want this, I want that, I want this, and piecemealing what he wanted in his game. And everyone's like, we can't do this right now. Like we're getting toward the crunch time of development. We need to pretty much fixate on what the features we want in this game and then just work on making those great in the game.
Well, to the point of getting the right people in the right positions, the person that is directing the game is the visionary. They are driving the bus. And if you have somebody that is just paint by numbers, someone that is a corporate kind of mouthpiece that is going to do whatever the shareholders, the people that are investing are wanting them to do, instead of pushing games forward, pushing the industry to be better, to tell interesting stories, you're going to get boring games. You're going to get things that feel like other games that are successful. Okay. And that comes to like just having rinse and repeat junk where it feels like, oh, this is a Fortnite clone, or this is the Demon Souls clone, whatever it is.
Right.
Like that's what we kind of get with when people are coming into these positions that are just kind of like, yeah, we're going to do whatever you tell me to do. They're not visionaries. They're
yes men.
Yeah, they're yes men. Compared to your Neil Druckmann's, your Randy Pitchford's, like they have a vision and they do not compromise that vision. And that's the kind of people that you need to push forward your games. Like you look at the things that really stand out over the last 20 years of gaming, and it's not the things that feel like, oh, this is going to make us a ton of money. It's the things that took us by surprise. The first BioShock. Ken Levine, you didn't know that game was even going to come out, but it was amazing and it really struck a chord. Then you had, BioShock 2 did its thing, but then you had Infinite, and it just was amazing. And then you look at Last of Us, you look at what they did with reimagining God of War, and you look at Gears of War. Like we would have never thought, like I remember when Gears of War was being talked about, I'm like, no, nothing's going to beat Halo. And then Gears of War came out and it was like, oh wow, this is a totally different feel and vibe. And like having Cliff Bleszinski there, he really pushed it forward. And then you look at where I did really enjoy Gears of War 5, but there's nobody really there that is like the heart and soul pushing it like Cliff was when he was there. And that's one of the things that kind of suffer from a lot of different developers.
Like and that's a good point too. It's like the people who do push it forward either leave or step to do other things or get offered more money or are asked to leave. Like they see the writing on the wall. Like I know Cliffy B was just like he thought there was greener pastures on the other side, and it's like, nah, not really. So whether of your own volition or whether you just want to do other projects, like I know Rod Ferguson, who took over the Coalition, like we said our piece about Gears of War 4, but then Gears 5 really took it in a different direction, really got back to form. But then he decided to peace out and go to Blizzard, and now I know he just recently left Blizzard. But it's like, he worked on Diablo 4 and like getting that out and pushing that and making content for that.
And Diablo 4 was great, dude. Like it was a huge step in the right direction.
So, and I think that's the problem too. It's sort of like, to kind of cross streams a little bit, sort of like when you have like a good, like, football team, right? Have a great head coach and a good offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and they're both, they both like put up gaudy numbers, offensively, or they're really great schematic wise. And then, all these head coaching jobs open up and they want to get their shot and take it. And then all of a sudden, the team dips next year because that coordinator is not there or that coach is not there anymore to really set the tone. And it's like, you feel that difference. So I feel like, again, I don't fault anyone for trying to strike out on their own. Like if they feel like they want to go work on another project, that's cool. But it's also like, but I also think that goes back to the studios. And it's like, if you're letting your people be creatives and letting them like keep with their own vision, they'll stay and they'll keep giving you banger after banger after banger.
And I think that goes to Schofield's point of opening up the purse strings, because publishers, they are wanting to make money, and the shareholders, the people that are controlling the funds, they're limiting their exposure to risk. And when it comes to any kind of storytelling or art, there's always an inherent risk. And they're trying to get in, the movie industry is going through this problem as well, where they want it to be so formulaic that they can plug it into their algorithm and like, oh, it's going to do this. But we see, when we've gotten the same crap over and over and over, people stop going to movies. People don't want to go watch it. They're canceling subscriptions because nothing's on that service and all of that. And you've got to be able to hire the people to, okay, we're going to invest $100 million into this game, and we're going to have somebody that has a vision, that is just excited, like this is their passion, so they're going to go above and beyond, and they're going to push this thing, and we know that we're going to make more than 100 million on it because it's going to sell gangbusters. And I think that's where a lot of it comes down to, is they want to limit it and say, okay, they want to be able to say, okay, we've got 3 people making this, 5 people, and we're going to make Hollow Knight numbers. And it's like, that's not realistic. Like, you're not going to make a Hollow Knight. You're not Team Cherry.
No.
You're not Team Cherry. And it's just like, they've got to realize that you have to have the right people in the right place. Like, if you said like Hazelight Studios got a new director, I'd be like, I don't know about that, because like Joseph, or however you pronounce his name, like he's crazy.
Oh, Joseph Ferris,
yeah, he's crazy, but he's passionate about what he does. Like, he's overly passionate to people that don't know him, but
screw the Oscars.
Yeah, it comes across in his games though. Like it really comes across that it's passionate for him. And I know we haven't touched the AI part of it. I want to hit that real quick.
I do have, before we do, I do have one like a counter question to all that, because so I do agree they need to open up the purse strings, give them more creative development. But now my counter question to that is like, now we can debate if Concord had the right people in place to lead the creative vision another day. That's not for us to decide. And obviously the writing is already, the story's already been told on Concord. But thing about Concord is, they opened up, they gave $250 million to this game to be developed. Now, let's say they have the right people in place, but the game does not pan out. And it's like, does that open up a counter door to be like, to these investors, like, see, we opened up our purse strings, you had a right creative visionary, but the game didn't give us the money back. Why should we keep giving you money just to lose it?
Any kind of investment is, even if you
look how many Kickstarters don't get started.
Yeah, well, you go to Wall Street, you invest, you're not guaranteed to get that money back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, anything can tank. Apple can tank out of nowhere. It doesn't really matter. But I think it's kind of par for the course. It's like, if you look at the game, and it is trying to be something else. Like it's trying to just do what something else has already done and is known for. It's not going to be successful. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest. Like if you are chasing a trend, it's never going to be successful. That's just plain and simple. Like
Sony
you,
experienced that with live service.
yeah. And it's like if that is what you're doing, then no, it's not going to be successful. Don't put $250 million into that. But if you got something that is breaking ground, it's telling an interesting story, there's connections there, and then you're trusting and verifying that the studio is actually using the money wisely, and that like you have people that can go in and, you know, like a Shuhei, go in and be like, hey, this is good, or man, what are you doing with this thing? This is
Go
trash.
to Corey Barlog and be like, this is crap. Do it again.
Like you have to have people in place that you trust to be able to check and balance everything. And I don't feel like they have that. I feel like there's too many chefs in the kitchen, and there's you know, and they're trying to, you know, make a soup out of a rock. You know, it's just not there. But I did want to hit the AI thing. I think this is interesting because we have our next story kind of talks about this, and it'll kind of segue into this. But I use AI every day.
Yeah,
Derek, I literally use AI every day, and I think there is a point where AI is good.
Yes, we've said it time and again. You know, AI as a support tool is great. It does have a use out there, but when you use AI to replace people, replace jobs, and let it be the focal point of said job or whatever you need it to do, that's when it falters. Crunchyroll is like, to kind of again cross streams. Crunchyroll is running to that issue because, you know, we were talking about, you know, go watch Eat Sleep Anime, guys, like of our fall preview. But when we were talking about how they were having issues with the My Hero and Spy Family streams, not only that wasn't the only issue. Like some of the translations in subbed were being like were very disjointed, like not coherent because they were letting AI translate the subs, and when you're letting that happen and letting it be like the main part of that translation, you get results like this where people are like, what are you doing? Like and especially now that you're the top dog in the anime industry, it's like you're like, we're sitting up on our throne of money, you know, whatever. But it's like that's a bad use of AI. Like instead of having it support it and having it like go over the rough parts of the translation, you're letting it just do the whole translation, and then you get disjointed messes like you do. So again, we've said it time and again. You know, you use AI, we use it to, you know, help write the docs on the show. But as a supportive tool, like as a cleanup supportive tool, it is great. As a focal point, let me do the brunt work, it is not.
Yeah, you have to have, because we've definitely ran into issues on the show where, you know, throwing in an article and it just comes out garbled mess, and there's really no point to what we're even saying. Like we don't have the gist of it, and that's why I literally am going through the articles now and just pulling out chunks and all of that, and it's made the show better. This is the second week we're doing it, and it makes it much better. Like AI is a great way to prove a concept. It's a great way to get previs. It's a great way to build, you know, an asset and then be able to transform it and put that spin on it. Or like, oh, I've got an idea, let me see if that makes sense. Or I've got you know, some copy. If like you were on the marketing side of it, it's like, okay, this is what the game is. How can I say this for this demographic? And they come up with different ways of being able to sell it. AI is good for that, but it cannot be the only way to do it. And we see like Ubisoft is going the totally opposite, where it's just like writing a ton of dialogue. I know it's like more NPC dialogue, but I'm curious when the next Ubisoft game comes out and it has just, you know, NPC dialogue that's just, you know, horrendous. So, you know, like if they're using Grok, it might just like start spouting off, you know, horrible things.
Yeah.
Amy says, but corporations have to make more money by using AI instead of properly paying employees. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why pay the people who are experts in their fields to do this? And let's just cut costs and use a computer program to write this for us. It'll go totally okay, right? Same thing.
Yeah, and of course, none of these models are trained off of stolen properties or anything like that.
No, not at all.
They haven't been sued and recently and had to pay millions upon millions of dollars. And just think about that. It's like, oh, well, this game used some of my intellectual properties, and then they go sue Ubisoft or whatever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, again, you have to have a human element to all of this. And that brings us to our next story, which I think is very interesting. Former God of War dev on the use of AI in games development says, if we don't embrace it, we're selling ourselves short. And this is by Tristan Ogilvie at IGN.
So IGN managed to get some time with another industry veteran, Megan Morgan Junio, to ask for her thoughts on the AI in games development that has previously been met with anger from Call of Duty fans, but also major support from games industry execs like EA CEO Andrew Wilson. Quote, I think if we don't embrace it, I think we're selling ourselves short, said Junio, who recently vacated her role as director of product development at Santa Monica Studio after 10 years and 2 hugely successful God of War games. Quote, AI is a tool and something that will augment us, at least for right now, and that's how I see it. It's going to evolve whether you're on board with it or not, so I want to be at the forefront of helping to guide how that goes and how we use it. Junio went on to compare the use of generative AI to the procedurally generated content that's been a part of games development for decades now, pointing at SpeedTree, a tool for generating trees in real time. She also recalled a time when animators were pushing back against motion capture and the use of procedural generation to blend animation frames rather than key them by hand. Quote, personally, I'm super positive. Like Glen Schofield said in his keynote address, this is the next big technological advancement that's coming. In fact, it's here already, and I think as leaders in the video games industry, it is on us to figure out not just can we do it with AI, but should we? And it's a case-by-case type of decision-making process, and what's true for game X might not be true for next year for game Y. Excuse me. When asked if she thought the increasing adoption of generative AI might help mitigate the swelling cost of AAA games development, Junio was clear that the use of AI in games development is unlikely to be the be-all, end-all solution to the post-pandemic pattern of regular studio closures and the bursting of the blockbuster game bubble. Quote, I wouldn't necessarily put it into an either or kind of scenario in that way, because to me, the size and scale and beauty of the game isn't the main thing. At its heart, the game needs to be fun. Ideally, at its heart, the story is fantastic. It's human, players connect to it, and it's fun to play. And yes, it looks beautiful, and yes, the music is immersive, but the music could be really immersive, and the gameplay could be not good, or the story might not be engaging, and I don't think it would resonate with players as much. So as at least for right now, I don't see AI replacing the fun gameplay that is at the heart of a game like God of War. Although Junio seems adamant that generative AI in games development is here to stay, she also remains confident that it will never be able to rival the heart and soul that can only come from a human touch. Quote, at the end of the day, you still need game developers to come up with the ideas. The story of God of War is very much a human story that is based on human experiences. At least as of today, I don't see that going away. And again, I wholeheartedly agree. Like she gets it, right? So she sees this like just what we've been talking about. This is a tool. Like, yes, help us come in and with the shortcomings or like with the touch-ups or like with the help polish the product and spot errors, like something we missed or had an oversight on. Don't let it be the reasons like, all right, don't let it write the music. Don't let it score the music. Don't let it tell the entire story of the main character. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if AI wrote Kratos' story in God of War 2018. Cory Barlog would not have a job at all. In Santa Monica would probably be a shell, if not closed. You know what I mean? So she gets it, and I think that's what Glen Schofield was also trying to get at. Was like, look, it needs to be a tool that helps us, because if we can help cut corners, well, not maybe cut corners is not the right verbiage here, but if it can help us speed up the process and like get all the minutia out of the way that comes with games, like planning, like when you're designing a forest, planning every tree on every, you know, plot of land that's in your game, right? And then rather than just like copy and paste and speed run, like, all right, this is the kind of foliage outlay I want to have for this area, you know, and it just speed runs it. You know, that kind of stuff is where it needs to be. But again, like God of War has a human touch to it. You know, it's a human story. And like Corey relates to it so much in 2018, right? He had a son and he relates a lot of what Kratos and Atreus' story did with him and his kids, you know, like him raising his son or his kid, you know? So it's just something AI cannot replicate. Like it can write it out on a page, but it can't convey that emotion put into it. It can't convey, you know, the overall just feeling and relatability to it.
Well, and again, AI is based off of like language. It's based off of what is put into it. So if it is writing a story, it is referencing all this data. Where is it pulling this from? All of these things. And it's like, at this point, yes, it could write God of War 2018 because God of War 2018 is out there and it could reference it.
Right.
Okay. But to create something new, it's not able to do. It has to have someone prompt it. It has to have somebody do that. But then again, even if you prompt it and if you do that expertly, you're only going to get a shell of a story. It's not going to have the heart. It's not going to have the gravitas, the connections that you really want to build with characters. Because God of War 2018, like you were saying, the way it, like that game, I remember when Atreus is sick. I remember rowing and just like I felt something. I don't have a kid, but like I was just like, oh my God, I've got to protect him. I've got to get him well. I've got to get him back to, you know, the witch in the woods and all those. Like, I've got to get there. I've got to get there. And at that moment, like even when he's like pacing in the elevator and all of that, that would have not been in an AI script.
And that's another thing too. It's like those silent moments where you're just seeing the emotion. It can't replicate that either. Like the moment where Atreus and Kratos go on their hunt, and you know, Atreus messes up. You know, they get attacked by the troll, and then he can't bring himself to put the deer out of its misery, and they just sit there. And Kratos reaches out his hand to try and comfort him, like he's learning how to be a father again, and then reaches it back, and and we're all screaming at, "Comfort him, you idiot!" You know, like AI can't generate that. So, yes, we're dancing around the fact that we're beating a dead horse to an extent, but we're all trying to convey the same sentiment as like to these companies that are like the EAs or whomever is doing this. Is like the AAA companies, third-party companies are like, we're going to just cut costs and like just use AI to just generate a lot of our game and write the stories, score the music. And it's like, no, you can't do that just because you want to pad your pockets more and not shell out enough payroll.
Fun story. This deals with AI. I was recently working on a book, an audio book, and I was trying to use AI. I was trying to use it for the read through and everything. Dude, it sounded like garbled mess, and it was like one of the higher end like text to speech and all of that. But even like with me giving it direction, all this still did not sound human. So I had to literally start recording it with my voice and then changing it into this other person's voice to like sound like them and everything. Yeah. And that's when it started sounding like a human because a human was doing it.
Yes. Weird concept.
Yeah. Weird concept. Guys, make sure to subscribe to the Nerd Cave because here we're not AI, we're real. We're real, and we give you the news for real each and every week on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, and we do awesome streams throughout the week, and we've got awesome anime content. So make sure to come and hang out and subscribe to all that good stuff. Just hopped in, but my YouTube ads have been so recently.
AI recently.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. That's all it is these days. That's all it is. But we're not AI, y'all. Yet.
Yeah.
I'll replace Derek next week with AI Derek 2.0.
It'll probably be more entertaining on it, honestly.
Nah, I wouldn't get rid of you. Derek, let's talk about the Xbox crap show and that it continues. Xbox boss says Ally X handheld eyes-watering 1K price was set by Asus. And this comes from Tom Phillips at IGN.
So Xbox has addressed the ROG Ally X handheld's controversial $1,000 price point. Instead, it had been hardware maker Asus that ultimately decided how much to charge. That's according to Xbox President Sarah Bond, who told Variety that Asus had used its, quote, insight into the market, into the feature set, into what people want to determine the ultimate prices of the device. With the handhelds now available, Bond has suggested that sales of the devices, at launch at least, had not been impacted by concerns around the cost. Quote, the reaction was overwhelming demand for the device, Bond said. We sold out on the Xbox store. We sold really quickly at a number of other places around the world. I feel really good about the value that we're giving gamers for the price based off the reception to the hardware. Now, I get it. If you build a good piece of technology, people will pay whatever the price for it is. Like we both have Apple, you know, both of us it's new iPhone comes out, it's like over $1,000, like $1,200 to $1,600, depending on what version and what model you get. And we don't bat an eye. But all of a sudden, like something in gaming goes to this price point, and everyone loses their minds type deal. However, them playing the blame games, like, see, no, it was them. It's like they gave you the market data. They didn't tell you, they didn't hold a gun to your head and say, hey, you need to make it this price point or we're pulling out, or like we're not gonna cut you in on future deals or make development or whatever. Xbox ultimately decided that this was the price point. They went with the instead of, especially after all the other crap they've pulled over the last couple months, it's almost like they're just kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off at this point and letting it bleed, let the wound fester and bleed out. And that way they can focus on, I think Greg Miller was talking about when come Game Awards, we're like, see, we have games now. We're going to have all these games for you to play. Like, I know you won't be able to play any of these on Game Pass or anything because we priced you out. But see, look, we have games coming. But no one held a proverbial gun to their head and said they had to put it at $1,000. They were just going off of market research. But also, like, to their points, like, oh, it's selling out on the Xbox store. My counterpoint to that is how much of that were scalpers that are going to turn around and sell it for $2,000 to $3,000. You know what I mean? Like making it agree. You know what I mean? Like in a world of selling online, you can't trust sales anymore from online sales because how many of those actually end up in people who want them's hands versus scalpers and bots who are just turning around to make like 2 or 3 times the profit they just spent.
Also, what is the quantity that has been made? Correct. If you're selling out
and you only have 500 units,
that's not a lot. You know what I mean? And I was fortunate enough to edit the ROG Ally X or Xbox, whatever thing for Kind of Funny. And hearing Tim, Andy, and Parrish talk about it, it is a impressive piece of tech, but it fails in the execution. The way they've marketed this is that the ease of use, that this is the best version of like playing Xbox games on the go, and like you also have Steam and all of that. And the way Andy was talking about this is that you have to tinker so much on this thing, and he's a tinkerer, that it is counterintuitive, that it makes it so much harder to enjoy this thing. And when he picks up his Steam Deck, he's like, man, this feels so much better. It just makes way more sense and everything. And that you're not having to go out of the UI and do all of this kind of stuff. That tells me right there that this is version 1.0 of it. It might get better as it goes, but for $1,000, I want a polished experience. I want it to be gourmet level. I don't want to be something where I'm having to figure it out. I want it to just do the thing that I'm want it to do. And that's what I'm paying for. I'm not paying to have to figure out, go into Reddit forums, do all of this junk to be able to play this thing. I want it to work at the very get-go, and my Steam Deck does that. And my Steam Deck is half the price, and it's OLED.
Exactly.
It's not 1080p, it's OLED. And I think that is the biggest thing there. And yeah, Joe's like, man, just get a Steam Deck. Yeah. And Facts. Steam Deck is superior. I agree. And Nate does bring a point about the phones. Is like the the cell phone bill is like the added cost of the phone in there, and if they did that with like the ROG or whatever into a bill, then he would do that. But it's like they don't. It's you're getting hit up at front anytime you do anything video games, unless you do like pay later kind of setup or whatever.
Yeah,
but
like Klarna or whatever.
Klarna, Sizzle, or something like that. You know, there's various ones, but to this point, Asus did decide this because the ROG Ally, just the regular one, is like $7.99 or something like that. It's pretty expensive, and it has some of the same issues and all of that. I just don't think this is for the average person. You know, this is not somebody that's like, well, I don't want an Xbox, I want a gaming handheld. And it's like, well, you can get a full-blown Series X for less than what you're going to pay here. Or you can get a Steam Deck and play your Xbox games on it. You know. And one last thing, the ROG Xbox Ally X or whatever it's called doesn't play your Xbox games. It has to play the PC version of them. So all the games that you've bought on Xbox that are Xbox, if there's not a PC side of it,
you're
it doesn't
SOL.
count. Yeah.
That's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Doing great things over there at old Microsoft.
Going great. Let's keep the train rolling. Microsoft says its next gen Xbox is going to be very premium and very high end curated experience. And this is from Wesley Yinpool over at IGN.
So Microsoft has promised, quote, next level performance, cutting edge graphics, breakthrough gameplay, and unmatched compatibility, and said everything it's working on will be fully compatible with users' existing Xbox game library. But how much will it cost, and just how powerful will it be? In an interview with Mashable, Xbox President Sarah Bond talked in vague terms about what Microsoft is going for with its next-gen console, but did suggest it will be a premium hybrid PC and console. Excuse me. Quote, the next-gen console is going to be a very premium, very high-end curated experience. You're starting to see some of the thinking we have in this handheld with the ROG Xbox Ally, but I don't want to give it all away. So Xbox fans are now wincing at the thought of how expensive the next-gen console will be, particularly in the context of recent price rises to Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Series X and S. Earlier this year, Microsoft has reported to be targeting a 2027 release window for both its next-gen Xbox and an Xbox handheld. At the time, it was said that the next-gen Xbox would be more like a PC than any Xbox before it, and would support third-party storefronts such as Steam and Epic Games Store and GOG. Prior comments from Bond have backed this suggestion up, saying, quote, this is all about building you a gaming platform that's always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience not locked to a single store or tied to one device. That's why we're working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming. All this says to me is, so this, don't be what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be, dazzled by this word jargon they're giving you. It's very vague. All it is basically giving you the same thing. It's like cutting edge technology. I'm like, okay, we've heard this before. Every iteration, Xbox One, Xbox Series, all of it's cutting edge. But as we've learned, if you don't have the games, it will mean jack squat. But now it's not even that. If you don't have the games, and it's like, if it's not in your price range, like Game Pass is now $30 a month. We talked about it's over $300 a year. Ridiculous. The consoles are pretty much going to price you. Like if this handheld ROG Ally, I know it's kind of different tech from what the series is right now, but the price point is starting off at $1,000. Like it's a bidding war. It's like, I'll start the bidding off at 1,000, and it's like, all right, going up. And it's like, will we have, remember when Steam did like consoles for a bit and they had like the Alienware, and it was like, if you had the same console, but it was like building your own PC rigs. It was like for different specs, it would be a different price point. It feels like that's what Xbox is going for. And especially if they have this handheld, it's definitely going to be like, not a hybrid, but it's basically you can almost guarantee the handheld will definitely pair with the console in some way if they're wanting Epic Games Store, Steam on that library, like as far as your storefronts go. But it's like, okay, will I be able to afford? That's all fine and dandy, but what will this price me out at? Like, if it's going to be $2,000, what's the point?
Well, then you can just get Game Pass and play on your phone.
Oh, and spend $300 a year? No, thank you.
That's what they're going to say. It's like, oh, if you can't afford the Xbox, then you can play on your Samsung TV or your phone. Or
and Don Matrick has risen from the grave and be like, "Am I a joke to you?"
It's
when I say it, it's everyone loses their mind.
Well, it's like the very premium line. It's like, okay, is this going to run so well? Are we going to get amazing games? Is it going to run everything that I've bought? Because clearly the Ally X, like we talked about, the Xbox Ally X isn't running console games. It's only running the PC side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get down to it, Derek, the SKUs for the Xbox Series was confusing at launch, and that was only 2 of them. Yeah. And now you're going to have a handheld that's already out right now, and then you're going to have another handheld, and then you're going to have the Xbox, and it's like, how are they going to?
The next handheld is going to be Xbox in-house.
Yeah, your average Joe is not going to know that. You know what I mean? The mom that is like off work, it is like, oh, I got to get Jimmy like the next Xbox for Christmas, and then she goes and gets something, and then it's not the right thing, and then you know what I mean? It's like,
well, and it was like you, to your point about the series, is like when it first came out, I think Kind of Funny talked about it when it first launched. It's like, okay, talk about for your aunt or your grandma that doesn't know, that's not in the gaming sphere, that just is going off of what Johnny or Susie has on their Christmas list. And it's like Xbox Series X. They all, you love your relatives to death, but they're not going to know how to pronounce stuff. They're going to say, I need the Xbox X. And it's like, okay, we've got the One X, we've got the Series X. Which one do you want? It's like, well, and then they get all confused because now there's
how much,
they can't handle it. Yeah.
How much is it? And then they go for the cheaper one. You know what I mean?
And then Johnny or Susie are like, this is not what I wanted. And now
grandma's
all upset.
Yeah, and she looks like a fool then. And all like it's just not setting up the consumer for success, And like you look at the PlayStation, it had 2 SKUs, but it was either disc or discless. That was it.
And technically Xbox did that as well, but they had way more intricate, they had a way more different list. You know what I mean? Because PlayStation, they had the same specs for both. It's just one didn't have a disc drive, one did. Xbox is like, we don't have a disc drive, but we do have in the other one. But the one without the disc drive has less memory and can't do this and that and the other. But this one can. It's like,
it's confounding what they're doing there. And the last statement, we're working closely with the Windows team to ensure Windows is the number 1 platform for gaming. Not Xbox is the number 1 platform for gaming. Right. Windows.
We will.
And I remember back in the day where Windows had its own gaming thing, and it was trash.
Yes.
So it's like I'm feeling unsafe, like the wee woo like Patrick, and he's like just upset, like what is going on with Xbox. And I want to hear everyone's thoughts. Like, how do you feel? And 360 was the best generation of Xbox for sure. And I feel like since then we've been underserved. We've been, kind of sold a bill of goods that just does not line up. The Xbox One just never really performed, never had games. The whole Connect thing just kind of laid flat. And then the Series X, we finally are starting getting games and everything. But it just,
you could say we were sold a fill of goods.
Yeah, I'm in danger. Who knew Windows was an Xbox?
Hey man, eventually Zach's glasses will be an Xbox.
Everything's an Xbox, y'all. Guys, we're not done with Xbox. We got a little bit more for you. Microsoft has reportedly pushed Xbox Studios to deliver a 30% profit margin, allegedly leading to all those layoffs, cancel projects, price raises, and the end of exclusives. And this is by Wesley Yinpool at IGN.
A new report has shed light on the goings on at Microsoft, which has allegedly pushed Xbox Studios to deliver a 30% profit margin, which is much higher than the industry average. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, I knew he'd rear his head eventually, reported that Microsoft's 30% profit margin goal has led to the gaming division's huge layoffs, canceled projects, controversial price rises, and multi-platform push. The cuts to Xbox have been deep. Thousands of staff have lost their jobs over several rounds of layoffs. Games such as Rare's Everwild and the Initiative's Perfect Dark reboot were canceled after years of development. ZeniMax Online Studios game Project Blackbird was canned, leading to mass layoffs. The Initiative was also shut down. Last year, Microsoft closed Redfall developer Arcane Austin and Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks. Bloomberg said the average profit margin in the video game industry is 17 to 22%. Over the past 6 years, Xbox has hit 10 to 20%. To put that 30% target into more context, Sony's PlayStation division achieved a 16% profit margin in Q1 of this year. Bloomberg said Microsoft chief CFO Amy Hood enforced the new target in fall of 2023 amid Microsoft's $69 billion with a B acquisition of Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard. The upshot now is, according to Bloomberg, that games that are cheap to make or considered more likely to make lots of money may take priority over riskier projects. Xbox's floundering hardware division, meanwhile, may face a significant rethinking. Microsoft issued Bloomberg a statement that suggested its Xbox profit margin target isn't the same across every project. Quote, we look at the business as a whole, balancing creativity, innovation, and sustainability across a diverse portfolio of offerings. As with any creative business, sometimes that means making hard decisions and stopping work on things that are no longer working for a variety of reasons, and shifting resources toward the projects that are more aligned with our direction and priorities.
Money!
Make me money! SpongeBob, the boy! Oh, that's 2 cents on the ground. That's 2 cents more in my pocket. So, this is crazy to me. Like, if this was set in 2023 and this is like, I get it. You have to make some type of ROI after spending that ungodly amount of money buying a big corporation like Activision Blizzard. I get it. But to basically make it almost double the industry average, like on the low end anyway, is ridiculous. And it's like Sony, who is kicking your butt every year since the PlayStation 3, I know they came in at the end of they came at the 11th hour at the finish line and won, but basically from PS4 on, they have been kicking your butt, and they're making technically below the 1% below the industry standard right now, and they're not doing this. What makes you think you have the gall? This is why people who aren't in the gaming industry, who are just business heads, come in. It's also like in sports. You have these people who know nothing about what they're, nothing. They just run a business. They have these overseas investments, and they're like, yeah, let me own an NFL team. It's easy. And it's like, no, it's not. It's people at Microsoft who, yes, computer software and gaming software are closely related, but they're not the same thing.
Yep.
And I wish people would stay in their lane and stay out of, like, quit, putting their hand in the cookie jar that doesn't belong. And this, to justify this by doing all the layoffs, closing studios, canceling projects, like doing all this schmuck, is just ridiculous. And I don't get it. Like, I understand the baseline. You have to make an ROI, but you do that over time. You can't just say overnight, it's like, all right, we need to make this back ASAP. Like, we need to make it back now. How about if you build it and let a slow burn happen, you will get that money back probably get twice the money back if you did it the right way, as opposed to just rushing this and I know they tried to save face at the end by saying, oh, it's a project, it's a project by project basis. It's not the same across everyone, because we know not all studios can make that profit margin. I'm like, yeah, until you need them to. And if they don't, you're going to shut them down, just like you've done your quadruple in-house studio that didn't even put out a game.
Well, you look at Tango Gameworks, their Hi-Fi Rush did exceptionally well. Like, people were playing the mess out of it. And I'm wondering how they take into account Game Pass, because 17 to 22% were ROI, but now 30 for them. It's like, how is that like involved with Game Pass? Like, Is it the amount of people playing? Like, how are they, quantifying that with that side of the service? And with PlayStation getting like 16% in fiscal quarter one of 2025, I'm wondering if that is just game sales or is that console sales, because PlayStation, at least with console sales, are doing really well. Nintendo is doing better than either one of them, but
Right.
it's like Xbox is not doing well with any of that. So I'm very confused on how they're able to like justify this, because it's very short-term thinking, like you were saying. They're wanting short-term gains when they should be long-term goals instead. Like, you need to be incubating things that can actually make things happen. The games that people want to see come out on Xbox, not just pumping out more garbage. We don't need another Crackdown 3. I know that's an old game, but
Yeah.
it's like we don't need to see that. And putting that pressure on a developer, it's like, hey, you're going to need to make 30%.
Yeah. I mean, as if the games industry is not already stressful enough, that the fact that you are worried about if you're going to have your job after this, if your project's going to get canceled. But now it's like, oh, we have this added pressure. We have to make we have to hit a ROI goal in order to be able to possibly keep our job and or lights on.
Yeah, I just hearing this today, because this came out today. I'm just like, where are we?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where are we? And it's like, I look at Game Pass. We, just got the price raise and everything with that, but it's like, they're not making their money.
No.
Like, I feel like Xbox is literally on fire. And I know Microsoft is pushing a lot of these initiatives to get money and all of that. But when it really comes down to it, should they have bought Activision Blizzard if this was going to be the issue going forward, that nothing is going to make enough money? Call of Duty is not making enough money. Nothing is ever going to make enough money to make up for that $69 billion purchase.
Correct.
And that's just the facts. It's just the facts.
So, but they'll never learn. No, and I'm saying that in the games industry, like the industry, like broad term. I'm not just talking about Microsoft in general. I'm talking about anyone that's a big AAA company in the games industry. They'll never learn. As long as money talks, no one will care about anything else.
No, exactly. Yeah. As long as Fortnite and GTA and Call of Duty Warzone are making crazy money, we're always going to have the push to make more money out of these games and everything.
Make me money.
Yeah, Joe says they're going to lose the console awards this Christmas. Well, they're getting pulled off the shelves like crazy.
Yep.
Honestly, they already lost it. Yeah, very true. Nate brings up a point. Will Xbox go the way of Sega? I think that is the long term. I don't think it's in the next 10 years, but I think 15.
Yeah.
Possibly. Because we already see like they're one of the major publishers on PlayStation right now. A lot of their revenue is coming from putting their games on PlayStation.
Correct.
So I do think they could do more of like this ROG kind of thing. But
I know they're trying to, they save face, when Game Pass was popping off several years ago, they were trying to save faces like, oh, console hardware is still going to be our thing. But everyone knew it's like, eventually you're just going to go to this eco space of Game Pass and like ditch the hardware. So that way you can cut costs on a lot of this R&D. But I think this speeds up the process now with like them raising prices and whatnot. Now, what that means for Game Pass with them, especially with them raising their prices, that's TBD at this point. But I already think they have like half a foot in the grave with developing consoles at this point. I think they've already, when you hear them and talk to them about what their plans are different, the company down the road, like 10 years out, you can already kind of tell like there's a small writing on the wall that they're like, their plans don't really involve consoles being the focal point. So I think they're already going that route. It's just a matter of when they decide to pull the plug.
Yeah. because if you look at Steam doesn't, like, other than the Steam Deck, and they did have some stuff, but Steam makes way more money than Xbox does, and they see how they're coveting the amount of money that Steam makes, and if they can somehow get in on that, some shape, form, or fashion, if they could take some of the mind share, then they're going to do that. And if they don't have to make consoles, because their consoles, Xbox 360 sold pretty well, but each one has been progressively selling less and less.
Right.
It's like, if we can not have a loss leader and we just make games, and people can either buy the games on the storefront, or they do the Game Pass thing and we make $360 a month because they want day one. And then of course they'll raise that, and, it'll be $50 a month, in a year, and at that point. And it was very interesting. I put out our discussion like 2 weeks ago on this, and how divided it's like. YouTube side of things was very like, yeah, I canceled. TikTok, though, it was very different, where they were like,
interesting.
They were like, oh man, this is still the best deal. Like I get all of these games for $30, and like it was very juxtaposed between the two of them, where one platform was very like in line with our thinking, and the other was like very pushing back on it. It's like, no, this is still a good game, good deal. And even like the people with like the lower tiers are like, yeah, I'm fine with this. And I'm like, okay, it's just not the way I would think it was going to go. But just the division that is going on in gaming right now, the beaten, the battered, and the broken, as Schofield said earlier, I feel like is definitely how the industry is going right now. But what isn't beaten, battered, or broken, Derek?
It's Patreon quick hits.
Exactly. Patreon quick hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. Go and support the Nerd Cave by getting your very own Nerd Cave membership to help us continue to make awesome shows just like this one. We are a 1.5 person business, so please go and support us. Become part of the ship, part of the crew over at patreon.com/nerdcave. Pick up your very own tier, whatever works with your budget. Even if you don't have any bucks to toss, you can join over there for free and get some of the cool stuff that's going on over there. You get to see some stuff that's never aired live on the YouTube channel there. Great. Just saying. Yeah, just saying. Y'all should go check it out. Derek, it's time for the Patreon quick hits.
So starting off, Battlefield 6 could be adding 6 more game modes, according to recent data mine. Battlefield 6 sold record-shattering 7 million copies in 3 days, giving EA's shooter franchise its best ever launch. And that still won't matter because investors and greedy money grubbers want to have their 7th vacation home. They're going to still lay off people, because in this industry, no matter if you do well or you don't do well, you still aren't guaranteed your job. Battlefield 6 Season 1 offers an explosive look at new maps and modes ahead of October 28th rollout. Tomonobu Itagaki, the creator of the Dead or Alive franchise, has passed away. Rest in peace. Sony hits back at Tencent in its lawsuit over Horizon knockoff Light of Motirum, labeling its defense as, quote, nonsense. Following that, the live-action Horizon Zero Dawn movie has a working script. Job listings suggest MLB The Show franchise is set to make the jump to PC, which just makes sense at this point. Kind of surprised it hasn't already. The Crew 2 offline mode is now available. Glen Schofield is calling EA's new owners about pitches for a Dead Space 4. Schofield is immensely worried about the future of Call of Duty under Microsoft. Marvel Rivals PvE Zombies mode is out today. Silent Hill 2 Remake hits 2.5 million shipments and digital sales, while the series has hit 10 million units worldwide. Atari announces the Intellivision Sprint begins reanimating old rivals. The PDP Riftmaster wireless guitar controller now has a Switch and Switch 2 version, but why would you still need it? Like, what? Anyway, that's beside the point. Final Fantasy IX Remake reportedly on ice, and it's unknown if Square will revisit it. Simu Liu confirms the Sleeping Dogs movie script draft has been completed. Rumor, Resident Evil 0 Remake casting and expanded story info has been revealed. 007 First Light theme song reportedly to be performed by Lana Del Rey. Sucker Punch is waiting to hear from fans before making a decision on possible DLC for Ghost of Yotei. Shuhei Yoshida says Sony can't keep increasing graphics power, noting even he can't tell the difference between some of the graphical capabilities anymore. Rumor: PS6 manufacturing to begin around mid-2027. Insider claims an official Starfield PS5 announcement is not coming until next year. Ex-God of War dev says blockbuster titles are not really sustainable and believes creators should just make something fun. Konami announced 3 Silent Hill games at once to prove how serious it was about the IP, says the producer. Naoki Hamaguchi says DLC or a full title is possible after Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is out. The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria launches Durin's Folk expansion on November 18th. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil update to add next-gen optimization for PS5 and Series X and S. Splinter Cell Remake has reportedly lost its director again. And Zach, I don't think this game will ever this series will ever come back to light. I feel like it's just cursed at this point. Remedy CEO Tero Vertala has stepped down with immediate effect. PS6 price could end up being half the cost of next-gen Xbox, suggests Hardware Insider. PS5 is now ahead of the PS3 in the US lifetime install base. Mortal Kombat 2 movie release date has been moved up a week to May 8th. Tales of Exilia 2 Remastered is reportedly in the works, and an announcement for a new remaster is due soon. Halo for PS5 is reportedly set to be announced this week during the Halo World Championship. Massive Entertainment staff are being asked to volunteer being laid off as part of the studio's ongoing evolution. Xbox boss says the idea of exclusives has become antiquated for most people. Marvel Cosmic Invasion gets a December 1st launch date and adds Phoenix and Iron Man. Kirby Air Riders online demo event has been announced for November 20th. Elden Ring's debut on the Switch 2 has been delayed to next year. And lastly, GameCube classic Luigi's Mansion hits the Switch 2 just in time for Halloween on October 30th.
Derek, would you ever voluntarily be laid off?
No. Like, unless I had something lined up already, no.
Yeah, that is so, like, oh my God.
It's such a Ubisoft move.
Yeah, that is so stupid.
It's like hey, but you know what's going to happen is there's not going to be enough people that volunteer, and then they're just going to pick up randoms. Like, okay, now we're going to have to lay you off. So it's almost like they're giving them it's like we're giving you an option before we just tell you you're not going to work here anymore.
Yeah, like there's a 50% chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either I get laid off or I don't. So I take the 50-50 of like getting to stay over,
right.
but I would also be looking on
Indeed.
Well, depends on how much the employment pay was. Well,
yeah.
Like this, if the severance package was good, yes. But if you're voluntarily, like, of course, this is over. I think Massive's in France, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's not in the United States. I know that much.
Right.
So I don't know what the laws are. If you voluntarily like leave your job, you don't have like you weren't fired. So I don't know how like the unemployment side of things would work.
It's in Sweden, actually.
Sweden, even worse. Socialism. So I don't know how that would work and everything, but yeah. Derek, what happens if Halo comes to PS5 this week? Gets announced. We've already got Gears of War.
Yeah. If Halo is confirmed to becoming, like, obviously we've talked about it over the last couple months of it being an actual possibility, and we, if Gears of War comes and it's only Halo, then I will seriously consider getting rid of my Xbox, because then what's the point? Like, especially with them raising all these prices, it's like, what's the point? I might as well just get rid of it and just have a PlayStation, because everything, even if I have to wait, like even if Gears of War E-Day comes first to Xbox and then comes like 6 months to a year later on PlayStation 5, I don't care. As all you got to tell me is it's coming to PlayStation, and I'll just wait.
Yeah. Well, and you look at Doom: The Dark Ages, it came day one to PlayStation. Yeah. So I think they're going to eventually get it where it's just
Yeah.
Boom. You know,
both consoles. Yeah.
both consoles. So I did the numbers. I ran the numbers when you read this out, but Battlefield 6 shattering 7 million copies in just 3 days. And of course, it's probably sold more since then.
Yeah.
So I asked ChatGPT to run the numbers for me. And there's two different editions. There's a $70 edition, and then there is a $99 edition. Okay. If it is only the $70 edition, that is $490 million that they made. If it's all the, Phantom edition, it's $699,930,000. And then it kind of splits between all of that. So they have at least made 500 million
for sure
off of the first 3 days.
And hey, like I said, like the tongue-in-cheek comment I just said, it's like, and it doesn't matter. This could be the best-selling Battlefield of all time, and they'd still lay off 20% of the staff just because they need more vacation homes.
Amy says, y'all making me want to go off about corrupt corporations. I feel like that's all we talk about, right?
I know.
Recently is just how bad corporations are. Nate says, that's why I think Xbox consoles will go out like Sega did sooner. They will just sell the games on other consoles and have Game Pass for streaming on PC and whatever else they add to it. Yeah. I think they get rid of the console side eventually, like within 15 years. And then they just focus on game development and Game Pass, and they they're not over the barrel for console cost anymore.
So let me ask you this. If they do go the route of Sega, now obviously Sega's not the best because there have been terrible Sonic games. You know what I mean? Like the Persona series has been saving them recently in recent years. But do you think if Microsoft goes that way, do you think that will in turn have them make better games?
Well,
I guess they're hitting that stride with Doom: The Dark Ages and Oblivion remastered, and we from what we've seen, the little bit we've seen, Gears of War E-Day looks like it's going to be good. But do you think that
Indiana Jones was great?
Yeah, Indiana Jones was great. So teach their own, like Avowed and South of Midnight was good, like B tier titles. You know what I mean? Like they're not gangbusters, but they were solid at outings as well. So I think this will help them create more consistently good games rather than just like, oh, bing bong boom boom.
Well, I would counter that with these developers aren't over making hardware.
That's true.
So you know what I mean?
But they could also funnel that money into like giving the like
they're not going to funnel that money anywhere.
Yeah, I know they're not. But like Schofield was talking about, like since if they're not having a chunk of money go to R&D for console development, they could spread it out across these development studios. But I know they're not going to either.
No, they'll open up a few more Call of Duty studios.
Support studios.
Yeah. That's what they'll probably do over anything else. Like I understand where Nate is coming here with like the 5 years, but since they're saying that they're going to put out a console in 2027, like that's going to be at least an 8-year cycle from that. Yeah. So like you're getting like 10 plus years at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 10 to 15.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell, Derek. And if you don't like corporate greed and if you like supporting the little guy, you can go over to patreon.com/Nerd Cave and support this 1.5 person business. Help us out there. And if you ain't got no bucks to toss, that's totally fine too. You can hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be here next Tuesday playing Ghosts of Yote. It's going to be a great time. Derek. Thank you. It's been a good. I'm enjoyed getting to hang out and talk video games with you.
Yeah, it's been fun as always.
This is the Nerd Cave Newz. This has been Zach
and Derek.
Have a blessed week. Bye bye.